I went to prison at 62 after one argument with the man I was dating. But the truth is, I should have left months before that night. I'm 69 years old, and every morning I wake up before the prison lights come on. Not because I have to, because I always have, even when I was free. There's something about early mornings that still belongs to me. The air is quiet. The world hasn't started demanding anything yet. For a few minutes, I can almost pretend I'm not here. Not in this narrow bed, not surrounded by concrete walls and steel bars. Just me and my thoughts. 3 days ago, I got a letter from my daughter. The envelope was creased, like she'd been holding it for a while before mailing it. Inside, she wrote, "Mom, when you get out next year, I met someone I want you to meet. He's kind. He lost his wife, too. You shouldn't spend the rest of your life alone." I read that sentence over and over. You shouldn't spend the rest of your life alone. I don't blame her for thinking that. For most of my life, I believed it, too. I folded the letter carefully and slid it under my mattress. Because there's something my daughter still doesn't understand. I'm not afraid of being alone. I'm afraid of losing myself again. But to explain that, I have to go back. Back to before prison. Back to before everything broke. Back to the day my husband died. Robert and I were married for 35 years. We met when I was 19. He had this crooked smile, like he was always about to laugh at something only he could see. We built a life the slow way. Mortgage payments, grocery lists, raising a daughter, fixing leaky faucets, arguing about curtains, ordinary things. But ordinary things are what love is made of. When he got sick, it happened fast. Cancer. 6 months from diagnosis to funeral. One day we were planning a trip to the mountains. The next, I was sitting beside a hospital bed listening to machines breathe for him. The night he died, I remember holding his hand and thinking, what am I supposed to do now? Not just emotionally, practically. Who was I without him? For the first year after he was gone, I barely functioned. Grief isn't dramatic like movies show. It's quiet, heavy, confusing. I'd wake up in the morning and forget for a few seconds. Then reality would hit me again, like losing him over and over. The house felt enormous, too quiet, too empty. Sundays were the worst. We used to make breakfast together, pancakes, coffee, newspapers spread across the table. After he died, Sundays felt like walking through fog. But slowly, something shifted. Not happiness, not joy, but rhythm. I started volunteering at the local library, joined a quilting group at church, learned how to fix things around the house myself instead of waiting for someone else. I discovered something I didn't expect. I could live alone. And I wasn't miserable. I was peaceful. That surprised me more than anyone. But it didn't surprise the people around me in a good way. My daughter started worrying. Friends started worrying. Everyone had the same message. You can't live the rest of your life alone. At 62, they said I was too young to give up. Too young. Eventually, I started wondering if they were right. Maybe something was wrong with me. Maybe wanting peace meant I was broken. That thought changed everything. I met Daniel through a friend from my book club. He was 65, a widower, soft-spoken, polite, lonely. Or at least, that's what I thought. We talked on the phone for 2 weeks before meeting. Our first dinner felt easy, comfortable, like slipping into a familiar sweater. For the first few months, things were good. Dinner dates, walks, conversations about grief, starting over. It felt normal, hopeful even. But slowly, things began to change. Not dramatically, quietly. He started calling more often, morning, afternoon, night. If I didn't answer, he'd call again, then text. "Where are you? Are you okay?" At first, I told myself it was sweet. He cared. But after a while, it didn't feel like care. It felt like expectation, like obligation. If I wanted a quiet evening alone, he'd seem hurt. If I spent time with friends, he'd seem distant. If I said I was tired, he'd compare me to someone else. And without realizing it, I started adjusting myself to keep him happy. That's how it happens. You don't notice yourself disappearing. It happens inch by inch until one day you realize your life isn't yours anymore. At 62, I didn't have the same energy I had at 40. By afternoon, I needed rest, quiet. But Daniel wanted constant activity, constant togetherness, and I started feeling exhausted, emotionally more than physically. Then came the night he suggested we move in together. He said it made financial sense. He said we were practically living together anyway. But when I went home, sat in my living room, the house Robert and I built, I felt panic. Not excitement, panic. Because I knew if I said yes, I would disappear completely. So I tried to end it. And that's when everything went wrong. The argument escalated. Voices rose. Accusations flew. He grabbed my arm. I reacted. There was a push, a fall. His head hit the table corner. The sound, I still hear it. 2 days later, he was dead. They called it manslaughter. And that's how I came to prison. Prison isn't like television. It's slower, quieter, lonelier in a different way. But here's the strange part. Prison is where I finally understood something. Before Daniel, I wasn't lonely. I was peaceful. I only entered that relationship because I was afraid of judgment, afraid of being alone socially, afraid people would think my life was sad. Fear drove me into a situation that destroyed everything, including another human life. That realization nearly broke me. But it also taught me something profound. Peace is not a luxury, it's survival. Now I wake up every morning at 7, even here. I drink instant coffee from a plastic cup, and for a few minutes, I feel calm, because I finally understand myself. When I get out next year, I don't know what life will look like, but I know one thing. I won't trade my peace again. Not for companionship, not for approval, not for fear. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Sometimes the loneliest place in the world is lying next to someone and realizing you're disappearing. If you're watching this and you're in a relationship that's draining you, you're allowed to leave, even at 60, even at 70, even at 80. And if you're alone and people are telling you to find someone, you're allowed to say no. I'm 69 years old. I live in a prison cell, and I understand something now that I wish I understood years ago. Your own company can be enough. Don't trade your peace for companionship that comes with chaos, because once you lose yourself, sometimes you don't get the chance to get your life back.